event is working, so I can see if there's any questions. I don't know if anybody's going to see it, but where is it? It did not publish it, of course. It doesn't seem to be doing it. Okay. I don't know why the LinkedIn Live is not working. It's still connecting. It's not connected yet. Must be the networking. Okay. We won't worry about it. This is Michael Finicaro. I'm coming at you live from the Prove It conference in Dallas. This is the second annual conference, and I want to do some interviews with some of the more interesting startups and vendors that we're finding here. I have uh, one gentleman over here. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm James Blackwell from Mind Device. We have a Factorian Edge Historian product.
Awesome. And then I have my friend from Portainer.io coming in from far away, actually, right?
Well, I'm from New Zealand, but I'm currently living in Phoenix. So
And actually, it's kind of funny because there's a New Zealand company I'll talk to a little later. So
it's red, yeah.
a very international meeting here, in fact. Well, I always start this part. Well, since we're at live at Prove It, I just wanted to get you guys feel like how much are you guys enjoying the event?
Well, as a vendor, we're quite stuck here on the trade floor. Pretty difficult to wander around and listen to many people speaking. But
You had the keynotes, though, right?
yeah, the keynotes, pretty good engagement so far from the attendees. There's definitely a lot of people coming here wanting to learn about solutions and trying to figure out how to solve complex manufacturing modernization projects. So it's pretty good.
Awesome. And how about you?
Yeah, Fino, it's my first year, and I've really enjoyed working within the ecosystem and the focus on the end user here. I think there's an understated element to it because that forces the other people that are serving that to also work together and create value for end users. And that's what's really impressed me about this conference.
Yeah, I have to say it's maybe one of the most impressive conferences I've ever seen. In that, even if we don't know the answer, just that guy over there probably has the answer, kind of thing. It's pretty
And let's
amazing.
work with them and get it done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the whole principle of the conference, yeah, remove all the marketing fluff, no sales, no marketing, just core engineering messages. It's engineers talking to engineers. It's very, very cool.
in case the people watching aren't familiar, the idea behind Prove It was from Walker Reynolds, one of the influencers in the MES IoT space, and he wanted to create a conference that he wanted to go to. I believe that was his expression. And eventually, they gave each of the people that are presenting three virtual factories that were created by Avalara, and each person actually has to present a solution. And that's been just insanely interesting. So, of course, one of the themes of the conference is artificial intelligence. Everybody's talking about that. Um, and I remember in the keynote, I think it was Jeff had a great keynote, Jeff Winter, talking about AI and how it came about. I'm wondering for you guys, for James, like when at the Chat GPT moment and that inflection point in 2022, were you skeptical? Were you already bullish on it? I mean, how did you feel about it?
Well, first is the first time I used it, I was like, yeah, I think like most people, you had that aha moment,
Hmm.
and you knew things had changed, right? And you've been seeing that ever since. And coming to this conference, it really hit me how much the impact is going into the production floor and the production environments. So it's here to stay, and it's going to continue to just keep rolling. It's between last year and this year, it's tremendous amount of change that we've
So
seen.
you'd be bullish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's,
Yeah, I
How about you,
mean,
Scott?
for me, it's changed the way that I work for sure. Um, the ability to ingest vast quantities of information and make sense of vast quantities of information, it's far more powerful than the human brain. I mean, you would have to be an absolute doctorate in everything possible to even consider being able to absorb all this data, recognize patterns and find cause versus effect. AI has made that accessible to everybody in seconds. Um, I don't think anything will ever be the same again. The ability to say, okay, what's happened in my factory at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It says, well, at this, at 12:59 this happened, but at 11:59 this happened, and so maybe A plus B plus C equals an issue.
Right.
A human would take forever to try and recognize that pattern, but these algorithms, they're phenomenal.
I think what's an important aspect is you need that historical data and perspective. I'll call it memory, for it to learn from and be able to contextualize that and present solutions and ideas.
And also a schema, the data has to make sense.
Yeah.
But again, even with a schema, a human would take a very long time to build those relationships, whereas the AI, it's just there and instantaneously available. So,
And I suppose that the developers for each of your companies must be already using AI as a regular, using either Claude or a Copilot. I mean, and then that whole ecosystem is revolutionized programming, right? And certainly the product managers are probably generating most of their PRDs with AI. So what kind of impact has it had for you guys in terms of the development environment?
Well, we're definitely looking at that and have been experimenting with the large language models so that people can interface with our product and people want to be able to talk to AI and get things done. Say, hey, show me a graph of this machine, for the past month so I can look at it. So you don't have to spend typing on it and then engage in conversation. So that's, I think, one of the important elements of taking the technology and data and making it human for people to be able to use it.
And at Portainer, have you guys?
yeah, I mean, internally we use it now. We're using it more and more as we gain more confidence in it. From a product perspective, we're able to go from idea to first mock-up really quickly. You can vibe code yourself a front end that will allow you to visualize. So, I mean, gone are the days of wireframes now. I mean, static wireframes, I don't think so. You're actually able to clearly get your ideas and visions down into some front end that works.
So to get the 80%.
Get the 80%, and even better, when you're designing capability, you're designing it not for yourself but for your customer. You can share that interactive mock-up with the customer and get their feedback before you spend a second writing code. So even if you just said that was a benefit, that's already a massive benefit. And then on top of that, you can go from that to code through code autocompletes and other things. So that's already a massive efficiency gain. It helps you develop better product stories, and then it helps you write the software behind the product story better as well.
Indeed. I'm wondering when we're going to have agents showing up to the Scrum meetings.
Already, it's quite humorous. You get on a Zoom call or a Teams call, and you get 9 or 10 different attendees, and they're all a note takers. It's like, where are the actual people here? I'm not going to have a meeting by myself talking to note takers. Doesn't work like that.
Not yet.
And then they're going to start talking to each other.
Yeah.
Or doing Facebook. Multiple. So thank you for that. So in terms of the actual usage of the software, I know Portainer, you're not really using it from a UI point of view, but how does AI play into the story of Portainer? Because maybe you need to explain a little more what you guys do, because you're more of an infrastructure layer than a user interaction layer.
We're a management tool that lets you deploy the software that enables Industry 4 transformation. So we're more of a software delivery tool that runs at the infrastructure level. We orchestrate and manage Docker and Kubernetes, and so we're helping operators get the transformational software in their data center, in their OT networks, on their field devices. We help with that. From an AI perspective, we are definitely looking about how we can bring more AI into the product from
into the edge.
Yeah, from a triage perspective. But also, if you look at AI, some of AI's biggest benefits are at the far edge, being able to ingest countless data streams and look for the signal versus the noise. And so we're definitely seeing more and more demand for pushing out AI agents at the edge, either for quality control, surveillance, whatever.
Excellent.
That was a great segue to what we do, Neil. So our edge historian, there's two very important elements that are important to AI applications. One I alluded to earlier was that historical perspective. So our edge platform for a typical factory can store years of data. It's right there on the edge. The second important element is as you were talking about, Neil, is fast processing time. So by being able to put your agent on our edge platform, it can deal with the data very quickly in real time. And that's going to be very important. If you look at legacy historians, they're built on a file structure that has a lot of problem with noise and signal processing, whereas our edge platform captures that data with no compression or any kind of distortion. So it makes it very clean data for AI applications.
And yeah, and I guess another interesting thing about Portainer, you're bringing basically IT technology into the OT world, right?
Yeah, I mean, the technology that underpins software containers, Docker or Kubernetes, that is technology designed primarily for the data center and for IT specialists.
Yeah.
And even in the IT world, it's only a subset of IT engineers are actually already comfortable with that technology. You bring it into the OT world, now you're talking about 0.00001% of the engineering folks are comfortable with it. So we're trying to
spell DevOps, right?
maybe we're trying to bring the technology down into that field in a really intuitive way. So,
and how how's it changing the way that what are the transformation aspects of manufacturing? How is AI transforming the way that factories are able to do with the data? I think you started addressing already. But.
Yeah, I think one of the nice things about a lot of the data that manufacturing sites generate is that it's cleaner than other types of data when you talk about the larger AI world. So one of the, I think, early use cases has been predictive maintenance.
Yeah, I was just saying.
And that's a real value statement that people can see and get their hands on and understand. But I think those things are going to continue to develop. We've done a lot of work in life sciences, and it's shocked me how much interest there is in those regulated industries, which tend to be very staid and conservative.
Yeah.
And it's actually shocked me.
And what's the use case? What are they? Is it also predictive maintenance, or they've got other interesting use cases?
In a similar sense, if you're dealing with life science type of processes, mistakes are so expensive. You want to be able to predict a problem, not in a similar way to preventive maintenance. You want to prevent a problem. So that in a sense, you can run a digital twin or something, see something that's going on, prevent that failure. That has a lot of benefits from a quality standpoint and a regulatory compliance standpoint.
Excellent. And I think that it's pretty awesome that the fact that you can deploy the containers so quickly into these environments. Well, how is it that Portainer is different than just my own cooking up Docker and using Kubernetes? What's your differentiator there?
Well, Portainer doesn't replace Docker and Kubernetes. We manage it, sit on top of it. And it's pretty easy. If you are managing one Docker host or 10 Docker hosts, if you want to SSH into your hosts and run commands, yeah, go ahead. When you have 100 or 1,000, and when you're talking about plant level deployments, you're talking about hundreds or thousands of devices per plant times however many plants you've got, you can't be SSHing in. And also, most of the engineers who run the shop floor are normally having Windows laptops with cables they plug into a device and they open some Windows-based management terminal. They're not all that familiar with SSHing in and running Linux commands. And both Docker and Kubernetes heavily rely on you running Linux commands. So, we're two things. One is we help you with the scale problem. So how do you do something 100 times or 1,000 times exactly the same way? And then how do you remove the need to learn complex command lines?
Awesome. And so we've been about 4 years into this AI revolution, and we've seen the MCP wave, and now we've just gone through the insane OpenClaw wave. Are you guys as skeptical or bullish as you were before? I mean, you were both relatively bullish in the beginning. Are you feeling like you got to put the brakes on a little bit, or full steam ahead?
I still wish AI knew how to say no. It does seem to me that AI wants to please you all the time and give you an answer, and its primary outcome is give me an answer, as opposed to I don't know. A human's, I think, best trait is you can say, look, I don't know, I have to come back to you. Whereas AI will just give you an answer. It might not be the right answer. It may be completely made up, but it seems coded to give you an answer, as opposed to I don't have the data to make an informed decision. I don't know. And I think until we get to a point where the AI can say, I don't have enough data to give you an answer, then confidence is always going to be somewhat restrained.
Well, I think those guardrails are important, right? Put it in so it knows not to try to go somewhere where it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Really help.
Well, I've had this idea that we should have Maimonides agents that are just around trained on doubt. You know, I'm not really sure. Maybe we ought to investigate that some more. Hey, Mr. Agent over there, I don't believe you. You know,
We actually use an AI tool for our customer support. And it's a product called Kappa.ai. If you've not seen it, it's pretty cool, right? You actually give it the training data, and it is not allowed to answer questions outside of its training data. And so
Exactly.
it will say, I don't know. It says, I don't have the training material to answer that question. And that is brilliant. Whereas these big
Yeah.
Claudes and ChatGPTs and everything else, they just seem to want to have the answer to everything.
and well, probably in your case, it would be more like, do you think that you'll have some pieces of LLMs that you'll eventually be pushing out in the Portain, or some of the maybe SLMs, or very, very small language models, where so that the operator actually can be interacting on the edge with an AI?
I still think there is a enterprise-wide. I'm going to use the word paranoia, but maybe it's fear as opposed to paranoia around sensitive data leakage and sending sensitive data to public LLM services. And what do they do with it? You tick a box to say, don't train in my data. Really?
How are you gonna
And
know?
so I do think that we're going to see the rise of more and more self-hostable LLMs where your data stays within it. And then what is the most efficient model that you can deliver at the edge in a data center to make sense of the data that you're sending at it.
Neil, that's a brilliant point for security reasons, compliance reasons. That's why we think our edge platform is very important in that. Bring that onto the premise, control it there. I absolutely agree with Neil on that point.
Excellent. So at this point, I usually switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about digital maturity. I usually think of it as on a scale of 1 to 5. Like 1, they're still using email and Excel, and 5, they've got the completely agentic, autonomous digital twins in the factories. I mean, probably nobody arguably is at 5, maybe very small handful. How do you guys rate the customers that you're in? Are they closer to 1, closer to 2, closer to 3?
Uh, as I mentioned before, life science industry tends to lag other industries, and they're, it's expensive and they're a little stodgy, but there's great interest. But even if you look at a large multinational pharmaceutical company, when they go in and look at the maturity, their sites will vary, different sites in different countries and things like that. So even within organizations, it can vary a lot. I would say there's huge opportunities out there to continue to advance here. So the maturity level, I would say, I would put it like a 2.5 or so. I would say,
Really?
or 3.
Yeah, I would say there's aspirations from our customers to be a 4 or a 5. I think the reality is a 1 and a 2. And I think just because aspirations, reality lags behind aspirations. But they're all coming to us and others because they want to start delivering on those aspirations.
Right.
So they might be a 1 or a 2 today, but ask me again in 12 months' time, they're probably going to be a 3 or a 4 or more. So,
Well, which leads me to my last question before we say goodbye, which is when customers start using your software and they put it in place and they start seeing these gains, is there a ripple effect? Is there, or an aha moment where they realize, if I had data governance and I broke down the silos and I had all this data and I was using IT, modern infrastructure to manage the messages, are you seeing any kind of, I just lost the video. Is the camera gone? No, the camera, is it still recording? Because it's off here. Huh? Crap. It's back? Okay, let's pause it
probably
then.
run